Welcome to the 2022 Sabin Gold Medal and Rising Star Awards ceremony. When Albert Sabin created the oral polio vaccine nearly 70 years ago, he called it his gift to the world's children, refusing to patent the discovery that transformed the world's disease landscape. The oral polio vaccine is now the workhorse of the global campaign to eradicate polio. The recent resurgence of polio in countries where we thought it was eradicated is a strong reminder that until every single child is vaccinated, the threat of a deadly disease remains possible anywhere. In the last 4 decades alone, polio vaccines have saved the lives of 1.5 million children and prevented disability in more than 18 million people. It's this legacy of scientific impact and humanitarian spirit that the Albert B. Sabin Gold Medal and Rising Star Awards celebrate. The Gold Medal is the highest scientific honor given by the Sabin Vaccine Institute. Each year since 1994, Sabin's awarded the Gold Medal to a distinguished member of the public health community who's made extraordinary contributions in the field of vaccinology or a complementary field.
The name itself is iconic in the field of vaccinology, and if you look at some of the previous winners, it's a who's who of people who've made great contributions to the field in the last 50 years.
I received the gold medal in 2013. It was really a highlight in my life, something that was a big surprise and was very exciting for me.
So the Sabin Award, I think, was one additional piece of action, reality, that validated the field of maternal immunization moving forward.
Getting that research funding is extremely difficult. So having an award is very exciting. It makes you think that people really do care, that you're working hard on discovering things.
Receiving the Sabin Gold Medal is probably going to be the pinnacle of my career, and it's a great honor to be associated with Dr. Sabin and the other recipients of this.
Really, I view this award as part of my team effort. It's really a hidden effort in many cases to try to develop vaccines for those that need them, and that's really why I think it's a very special award for me in that context.
And I think the Sabin Vaccine Institute represents just the power of vaccines. It's not just a matter of treating something. You can actually eliminate certain diseases. We eliminated smallpox. We've eliminated polio from much of this world. That's the power of vaccines. You can actually eliminate diseases. It's remarkable.
They say to do something you love, you never work a day in your life. And now to be recognized for it is the cherry on top of the cake. I know that what I do in my little corner in Dirande has the potential for global impact. It might look like vaccinating one child here, but the results of that study will show the country that they can use a vaccine. You show the continent they can use a vaccine. And it goes on from there, that our research that we generate here could affect somebody somewhere else in the world.
From my perspective, I'm at a very early stage of my career. I hope that I can continue to work towards ensuring mechanisms are in place for more affordable, sustainable vaccination programs for all essential vaccines.
Today, we're delighted to award the 2022 Gold Medal to Dr. Kathrin Jansen. Her track record of tackling vaccine-preventable diseases with tenacity and success is evident from her many accomplishments. She played an outsized role in developing vaccines for a range of challenging diseases from COVID-19 to HPV and pneumonia, all of which afflict adults and children in low and middle-income countries with already fragile healthcare systems. The vaccines she helped develop over her career have impacted billions of people and saved countless lives, especially in marginalized and poor communities, as we'll see from our next video segment.
you see suffering, you see it, you rationalize it, you know something needs to be done about this, but one is more removed. And all of a sudden in the pandemic, particularly in New York, it was just, I mean, I'm still getting chills, because when you see those refrigerated trucks, those morgues, piling up in the hospitals, we're living close to the hospitals, and just hearing the sirens all the time, all night, all day, it's just, you give everything that you have to make sure that you can find a vaccine that will prevent that suffering. I never thought about vaccines, that would be my passion at the end. After seeing what vaccines can do and working on it and being successful with it, it really inspired me to stay with it. I think I got really deep into vaccines when I started working at Merck, so it became my passion. And I think many of my colleagues shared this, which was really a wonderful time to see how people get passionate about vaccines, come together, and they can move mountains.
Seeing her progress over the years and to produce these vaccines was fantastic. It was success after success.
There's always the first, and then there's the most amazing, right? So, I mean, for me, my first vaccine was the human papillomavirus vaccine, where literally was involved from the beginning all the way to close to licensure. And I also considered this my firstborn, my baby, so to speak. And the interactions with the colleagues and working through this, it's just because you did it for the first time and it was your first success, it will always be kind of the favorite. It's difficult. In vaccines, I think it's a balance. So I always looked for problems, or I would say infectious diseases in my case, where I felt that enough is known that you have a good chance to actually solve the problem. Not that it's fast, but that it's solvable in principle.
Her achievements are magnificent. She worked on human papillomavirus, HPV vaccine. When that was finished, she went to a new company and worked on probably one of the most used vaccines in the whole world, the pneumococcal conjugate vaccines. And then, of course, she, as the scientific leader in Pfizer, was very involved in the COVID vaccine mRNA development.
Everyone in my group and my colleagues at Pfizer, we were working around the clock to develop a COVID-19 vaccine that was based on a very new platform, mRNA, that had never before come over the finish line. We were lucky in a way because in 2018, we had started a collaboration with BioNTech on an influenza vaccine using that background, and then seeing how literally the world came together to make it happen, and what these vaccines have done, the lives that they have saved.
She's really very, very technically, scientifically very skilled, a very smart person, and she has achieved a lot in her relatively few years of research and setting up the stage for what then turned to be a fabulous achievement for humanity. That is the prophylactic HPV vaccines.
In training people and working with people, I have done the same, particularly for women, helping them and supporting them. I hope that I have given back of what I had received over the years.
Dr. Jansen is really a champion for global health in women, and we've seen that for the development of the HPV vaccine as well as the RSV and Group B strep vaccines now that are getting developed to prevent neonatal infections. And I think that's a unique contribution, which is very consistent through her portfolio.
The trait to be successful, I think in any field is, I would say, is tenacity. You get used to this. More often than not, there's failure, there's not success. When we delivered the COVID vaccine, I got some, letters in the mail from families and sometimes from children that expressed their awe. One little girl said, "Wow, you really did something against this virus." She was so amazed about this. "I'm glad you could do something against this virus." And of course, it makes a big smile on your face. And all I could think is that she will be the next scientist growing up, doing great things.
She just brought an incredible discipline to the work that she does. And not just her own work, but the work of the people that she had around her to execute a lot of the work. And an excellent leader. I mean, people readily followed her, and they readily followed her because it was obvious how good she is at what she does, and readily followed her because she has the vision to boot. On top of it, she says, "This is what we need to do, this is why we need to do it, and this is how we're going to do it."
When you then look actually at all the gold medal recipients, there's all your colleagues and your friends that you know for years and have interacted and worked with for years, the same passionate people and human beings, all dedicated to make the world a healthier world. It was very humbling and feeling very, very good to be anointed to be part of this amazing group of scientists.
Kathrin deserves this award. If anybody deserves it, it's certainly her. And I'm sure there will be many, many more coming in the future.
You may not know it, but you have influenced women in science, women in medicine, and certainly me. So thank you very much.
What an incredible woman. Congratulations again to Dr. Jansen on this well-deserved recognition. Our next award, the Sabin Rising Star, honors an early career professional who's demonstrated a commitment to the field of vaccinology and/or immunization. The Rising Star exemplifies Sabin's mission to make vaccines more accessible, enable innovation, and expand immunization across the globe. Our 2022 Rising Star awardee, Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, is all that and more. No stranger to accolades, her reputation as a rising immunology researcher is widely documented. Dr. Corbett was involved in helping create the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine. She played a key role in the development of the Moderna vaccine and the Eli Lilly therapeutic that were first to enter clinical trials for COVID-19 in the United States. Apart from her scientific achievements, the Sabin Award salutes Dr. Corbett's contributions to help educate Black communities about the COVID-19 vaccine and address fears among the vaccine hesitant.
I am Kizzmekia Corbett, and I am an assistant professor at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health in the Department of Immunology and Infectious Diseases, and I love science.
I've been working with young people in math and science and other disciplines a long time, and I will tell you, those who tend to be most successful tend to be very curious. They're always asking why. She had this passion for daring to know. She wanted to know, to understand different phenomena, and was always working in that direction.
Dr. Corbett is a force of nature. She not only gets very excited about science, but she can light up a camera or light up a room. And when you're in her presence, you can tell that there's somebody in the room who really cares and who really wants to make things happen for the better.
For me, I think that failure in itself is actually very motivating. And even though sometimes, of course, it can make you down from an experimental standpoint, as long as you have a really strong hypothesis and as long as you know how to go about answering that type of question, then you know that eventually you will get to some answer.
One thing which I still remember is, so she came to Sri Lanka for about 2 months. We had this long holiday. It was a religious holiday called Vesak. The whole country shuts down. And she wanted to work during that time. And I ended up having to get special permission from the CEO of GeneTech for her to work. So she's like that. And she was so focused and intense. That's something which really sticks in my mind.
Dr. Corbett never shies away from an opportunity to serve the community. She's always thinking outside the box and knows firsthand that new perspectives and doing things a little differently can open up an entire world of innovation.
I like to remind people that theories change. That's why science textbooks are rewritten. Our knowledge is consistently being built upon. And I think that's the beauty of science. It's also why I will always have a job.
Well, Dr. Corbett's at the very beginning of what I'm sure will be a long and successful career, but already she's contributed to a number of different programs at our lab and during graduate school. But right now she's best known. She's become a celebrity scientist for her work on coronavirus vaccine development and understanding mechanisms of immunity. And so she was instrumental in the work leading up to the Moderna vaccine.
The vaccine development for COVID-19, which we went through for a year and a half at the National Institutes of Health, is one of the highlights of my career for sure. It particularly for me shifted my mindset in the way that I think about science, in the way that I think about science from a translational perspective, but also the ability to communicate science outward to the general public. It became very clear to me that that was so important.
She's spoken on the Eastern Shore to people who are rural, to girls in churches, at medical centers. She has been relentless. She has been determined to make that difference, not simply in creating the vaccine, but in connecting that vaccine to the public.
I would say that I would like to see communication around vaccines become less polarized to the general public. We don't necessarily allow for people to see the process of science as it is real. We don't talk about the vaccines until the trials have started, but there have, of course, been years, sometimes even decades, of work that have gone into those. We all want to witness science transforming the world, but we want to make sure that that science is good.
We were really lucky and honored that Dr. Corbett agreed to serve on the City of Boston's COVID-19 Advisory Board. We know that in this very, very difficult time that the city went through, equity had to be at the center of our policies and decision making, and her contributions to that board were incredibly important in always making sure that community members had a voice and that their viewpoints were directly represented.
I have to say to you that for people of color and for women, to say that we have here this first Black woman to play such a major role in creating a vaccine, first in the world, gives all of us goosebumps. All you need to do is watch the faces of children and young people and young women when she is speaking. Look into the faces of those who are looking into her face, and you see the possibilities becoming reality. You see young women, little girls, feeling as she does that we can do this. We can do this.
Wow, what an inspiring young scientist. We hope that the stories of Dr. Jansen and Dr. Corbett have inspired you as much as us. The work and spirit of our awardees epitomizes our mission at the Sabin Vaccine Institute to expand the benefits of immunization to everyone, everywhere. We hope to hold our 2023 Sabin Award ceremony in person. Stay tuned for more on that front in the coming days and weeks.